reminder to the large number of folks we have signed up to speak in opposition. You do have 24 minutes. It's up to you total, yeah. So use it wisely.
I am Carol Newsom, 8495 Broad Street, Rural Hall, 27045. I am here today to speak in opposition to case F1669, along with other concerned citizens from my community. I ask that they stand to be counted among those that oppose this rezoning request that is inconsistent with Forward 2045, which was adopted by the Planning Board and by Forsyth County Commissioners. I thank this board for their foresight and understanding the needs to advance the future that represents my community as a whole. To allow this property to be zoned limited industrial special use would be counterproductive in obtaining a more equitable, livable, and resilient future for our rural residential community. To allow for a hyperscale data center to be built at this location would have significant adverse effects on the adjoining properties that are primarily single-family homes and 2 churches. Please allow me to address why a data center at this location in the heart of Rural Hall is not consistent with growth in Forsyth County using the 6 themes found in Forward 2045. Development in this area should be consistent with the need to maintain long-term affordability through energy and water conservation, and to discourage large-scale development that does not increase job services and retail opportunities. This does not. To allow for this type of development would not support the smaller industry footprint as described in Forward 2045. It would also not support much needed mixed-use areas to move the community forward in our desired growth. Rural Hall already represents the character and identity of a beautiful public realm consisting of natural spaces and scenic landscapes, attractive neighborhoods, along with distinctive historical structures and landmarks. To allow for this type of development would not preserve our unique and distinctive rural area. I'm sorry. As a community rooted in its rural history, we are committed to sustainable development that ensures long-term viability that will enhance the residents' quality of life. A hyperscale data center would not support these goals as represented in Forward 2045. We ask that this board continues with their forward-thinking choices and do not allow for this rezoning, and to support the future that will best serve our rural residential community. We ask that you allow us to continue to prioritize neighborhood-serving uses, such as cafes, medical offices, grocery stores, small shops, and businesses that allow us to support a vibrant local economy. Please do not allow for a large-scale development near residential areas, especially one that does not provide a direct service to the community. F1669 does not follow the guidelines set forth by either Forward 2045 or Rural Hall Area Plan, updated 2016. The current zoning is consistent with the land use plans. Please keep Rural Hall rural and allow for our growth and development to support the community by providing affordable and diverse housing, open spaces, and local businesses to connect the existing and future neighborhoods in Rural Hall. Thank you.
20 minutes. Or 20 minutes.
20 minutes left.
Thank you. My name is James Woodard. I live at 150 Preston Lane in Rural Hall, 27045. I'm also opposed to F-1669. Quick background for me, my wife and I are both military veterans. We moved around a lot. We moved here from Spartanburg, South Carolina in 2016. We used the land use plan heavily as a guide for us to be able to kind of decide where it was we wanted to be. And Rural Hall was a really easy decision to make for that. That being said, what we we did see that we did very much agree with is the Rural Hall Area Plan update. This rezoning application is not compatible with this update. There are several points in the update that we agree with very much, in that these kinds of developments should be concentrated in their designated areas. And we very much agree with the idea that any kind of strip development wouldn't take up any of the main roads. In that gentleman's slide, it takes up a lot of the only roads. We also agree that goods and services ought to be available near where people work. If this was near where we live and work, there are no goods and services available there. You can't walk in with 50 bucks in a thumb drive and be like, fill it up. Right, we also very much agree with industrial uses being kept in industrial parks, not very, very pretty farmland. We also agree with this point on page 17 of the plan, where neighborhoods ought to be protected from industrial encroachment. And in reading that, I decided to see if we had anything on paper as to what constitutes or what we do about industrial encroachment. Inside of Appendix G, at the back of the Rural Hall Area Plan, there are some guidelines in there. Construction and expansion to prevent the encroachment of residential spaces. And these are just some of the bullet points in Appendix G. HVAC equipment, generators, noise-producing equipment should be chosen to be quiet and limit its impact. They say they should be screened from public view. The fences and walls on new construction should not adversely affect the character of the surrounding area. Also, there's a really good bullet point in there. Fences and walls that are fortress-like are highly discouraged. We very much agree with that. The drawing clearly does not. These guidelines suggest that new sites repeat existing and established patterns, and that they should retain as many mature trees, natural stone features, and things of the like as possible. And that the height should be within 30% of the average of the things on that block. Again, there's a good look at that block. I know you guys know what pink means. For my friends in the back, this is to be designated mixed-use development according to the Rural Hall Area Plan update. That said, that update specifically names this parcel of land by street. It names out the size and parcel specifically, so it was important to put it in the update and say that it was designated mixed use. Mixed use is what, as y'all well know, constitutes a mix of commercial, office, and different types of residential and recreational uses. As you well know, also it expressly excludes industrial use right there. We do have a section in there where we want to use vacant and underutilized sites, things that are already here that we're not getting enough out of, spaces that are not as full as they should be for as long as they should be. We've got Northridge Park down there where a lot of Haynes DCs used to be at. I worked at one of them. But right here is a pretty good look for everybody in the back. I know you guys know this, but the idea for us is to rezone land that is meant to be business and industrial in a manner that is consistent with the plan. This is not consistent with that plan. There are no greater choices in living and working environments when you fill a 124-acre site with a cement pad. Like, I see the drawing and all, but it's a cement pad. You dig a 20-foot hole to put an 80-foot building and then brag that you got it below the tree line is disingenuous at best anyway. The limited industrial district was meant to limit the impact that normal operations would have on one person's day-to-day life. And this is things like limited manufacturing, light warehousing, and some wholesaling, not a hyperscale data center. And in the staff report called out specifically 20 conditions, I believe, like 3 pages worth of conditions that squarely put this in the realm of like a general industrial type, as opposed to a limited industrial special use. And again, neither of those are compatible with the mixed use recommendation in the Rural Hall Area Plan update. Right, so for those reasons, these are the adjoining properties, by the way. So when we say limited impact, this is those adjoining properties, right? There's another one of the houses here, and I don't have the fancy drawing with the line in it. I think we have one, but you're not going to limit your impact in that guy's backyard. That is why this is not consistent with the recommended use plan, and for that reason I am opposed. I'd like to thank you very much for the time and for doubling the time. This does deserve to be heard thoroughly, and I appreciate y'all allowing the public to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, 14 and a half minutes.
All right.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Kisslingberry. I reside at 770 Serena Drive, Louisville, 27045. I am an adjacent property owner to this project, and I'm opposed to the rezoning request. I will explain reasons why this project is incompatible with the UDO. These reasons include the definition of the services A, the way persistent noise is addressed, and the incompleteness of the site plan. This rezoning, which is proposed as a Service A use, is not appropriate for this use, this project. Services A is defined in the UDO as an establishment primarily engaged in providing service to business and individuals. Some examples: it's going to be a barber shop, a laundry mat, repair shop, somewhere you can walk in. Typically, Services A is considered low intensity use, having little impact on adjoining properties due to noise, odor, vibration, and pollution. Here's some examples of some low intensity uses: offices, single family homes, arts and crafts studio, golf courses, campgrounds. And some examples of some high intensity uses: bank, financial services, outdoor retail display, nursery or lawn garden, supply store, and animal shelter. Looking at these examples, a hyper data center does not fall into low intensity use. In fact, I would say it's more intense than the examples of the high intensity uses. Now, I'm aware that noise is not typically considered in a rezoning matter. However, in cases where there would be persistent, impactful, and continuous noise to the existing residential area, the planning board can and should consider this noise in the rezoning project. Sounds below 70 decibels are considered safe for hearing. Some examples of 60 decibels are going to be a washing machine running, an average dishwasher, standard sewing machine. Just because noise is safe to the hearing doesn't mean it's not a nuisance. I'll give you an example: a dripping faucet. 10 to 20 decibels is what that is. Definitely safe. It's not going to hurt you or harm you. But a dripping faucet, dripping every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for years, I would say most people would consider that a nuisance. Zoning is meant to preventatively address nuisances that impact the adjoining properties. Hearing damage shouldn't be the standard we strive for when considering noise to a nuisance. This next slide is some decimal readings that were recorded. And basically there was 30 measurements were taken over a 4 to 5 minute period. That average, logarithmic, is how you measure decibels. Decibels are not linear. It increases, and for every 10 decibel increase, you're talking a 10-fold increase in sound intensity. Now the reading of 32.8 decibels on Wednesday, June 3rd, at 6:30 in the evening. That was my yard. That was taken in my yard at 6:30 in the evening. If we allow 60 decibels to come out of this project, this will impact the noise intensity by 22.9 times louder in my normal average meeting. Now, staff has done a great job recognizing the impact this project would have on the community. There are 6 conditions proposed directly attempting to mitigate this nuisance noise. Condition E would require noise monitoring devices to be permanently installed on 3 sides of the property line. How many projects have this condition? If a project requires this many conditions, it is unlikely to be compatible to the surrounding properties. Even with these conditions, staff concerns remain. This image was submitted by Montrose, showing Glade Street and where the proposed building would be. All those trees in there are deciduous, and they're along the property line. They're not all on this potential property. 4 to 5 months out of the year, those trees will have no leaves. It's going to expose that massive building. These buildings, they don't blend into the surrounding area, and they will dwarf these single-family residents and these mobile homes. This image is what Forward 2045 and Rural Hall Area Plan is designed to avoid. We need to consider the needs and priorities of the marginalized communities in decision-making and resource allocation. Now, this community consists of elderly residents and lower-income earners. These marginalized communities are the people who Forsyth County needs to prioritize when making zoning decisions. These residents may not have the resources or the ability to escape the impacts caused by this project. Here's the view from Montrose, or the image that they produced of Serena Drive. Again, you can see the outlining of the potential building, and again, deciduous trees. I live on this road, and my property is adjacent to. You can put a type 3 buffer yard in there, and maybe 5 years, like he said, it would grow to height, but I'm not sure if it's going to grow to 80 feet height. And again, it's not a condition, as far as I'm aware of, and it's a proposal. Site plan of this particular area, it's the potential recreational facility area, and it's marked public. This is a private property, only accessible by a private driveway through a guard shack into a secure facility, protected by a security fence. In order for this to be public, it must be under the control and management of a public agency. Has there been any discussion with the county to manage this area? Or is this more of a afterthought due to not being able to utilize that area due to the streams that are there? I want to say that this area does not coincide with Forward 2045 or the Rural Hall Plan. And again, we're waiting for questions about electricity or generators and all that. And it seems that it's not quite ready for that. But the biggest thing is, Services A is definitely not appropriate. It's going to have a much higher impact than even the high intensity uses are. And I hope you recommend denial. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
6 minutes.
6 minutes remain, and we have at least, I'm gonna say a dozen folks signed up, so just keep that in mind, and try to allocate your time accordingly. The next person I've got signed up is Robin Smith.
Good evening. My name is Robin Smith. I live at 807 Academy Street in Rural Hall, North Carolina, zip code 27045. Hyperscale data centers come with many side effects. One of the most prevalent is the 24/7, 365 days a year noise these structures produce. The World Health Organization and EPA sets continuous, which is what we're dealing with, outdoor noise limits at 55 decibels to protect people from, quote, activity, interference, and annoyance, unquote. If you look at your booklet that I provided, labeled Information on Levels of Environmental Noise, dated March 1974, this is the US EPA. You will note on table 4.1 that, quote, serious annoyance, unquote, is set at 55 decibels. The time base is 16 hours, which differs from the continuous noise 24 hours of the proposed data center. Additionally, hyperscale data centers are known to produce constant low-frequency noise between 20 to 200 hertz. Low-frequency sound is a persistent droning noise that travels long distances and is difficult to muffle. Lastly, given multiple community complaints by residents near hyperscale data centers, researchers are initiating studies to evaluate the amount of continuous infrasound produced by these centers. Infrasound, which is sound waves with frequencies below 20 hertz, are vibrations that people can feel physically. Constant noise, low frequency sound, and infrasound are phenomena linked to psychological, developmental, physiological pathologies in human populations, especially in the young and elderly. One reason I appreciate zoning, RaleighNC.gov notes, quote, zoning is the act or process of partitioning a city, town, or borough into zones reserved for different purposes and is intended to promote an orderly pattern of development. Zoning ensures that the way the land is used is compatible with the area. For example, proper zoning prevents an industrial building from being built in a neighborhood, unquote. SmartGrowthAmerica.org notes, poor zoning of residents near industry exposes households to hazardous pollution, noise, and lower property values. Hyperscale data centers have known side effects. The proposal to build a hyperscale data center in the middle of an established community consisting of multiple neighborhoods, 2 historic churches, small business, and a school is a mistake. This project is incompatible with the established properties in the vicinity and would have substantial negative effects on the town, residents, and future growth of Rural Hall. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, 3 minutes.
3 minutes remain. Next on our list is Charles Session.
Good evening. My name is Charles Session. I live at 582 Dark Bridge Road in Rural Hall, North Carolina, zip code 27045. I will not take much of your time, but allow me to say this. We have zoning regulations and laws for a reason. It gives us parameters, it gives us borders in which we can grow and develop. The zoning for us is about residential, is about small stores, businesses that will allow us to grow at the pace and in the manner that is consistent with who we are. I'm in favor of growth. I'm in favor of development, but not at the cost of losing our identity. This thing, while it may be great for somebody, is not great for us. It would rob us of our future, of my grandchildren's future. This is not what we are. So I would ask you to just consider what we've already established. We have zoning regulations for a reason and for a purpose. I simply ask you, keep what we have so that we can continue to grow and develop as we are. Thank you.
Minute 45.
Minute 45, I want to put my high school and college, I'll do German to the test here. Ulrika Whitehouse. Was I close?
Well done, bravo. I salute you. It doesn't happen very often to me that my name is pronounced correctly. Thank you. My name is Ulrike Whitehouse. I live at 794 Academy Street. I've lived in Rural Hall for over 30 years. My speech is 3 minutes long, and I will try to cut it down to 1 minute. I will not speak fast. I will simply give you one of the 2 points I want to raise. They both concern the northern boundary of the property that has been not discussed, if you remember. We have talked a lot about the south, the east, and the west. Now what's up with the north? In the north, we have two potentially serious issues going on that I would like to bring to your attention. One is the historic AME Zion Chapel, Stewart Chapel. You saw it multiple times on the slides, but nobody pointed it out to you. According to the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act that was enacted in 2000, I would like to point out to you, because of the constant noise sources and generation that you learned a lot about in this short time, the noise will, because of this act, protection of religious freedom, significantly interrupt the legally protected right of the Stewart Chapel congregation to the free exercise of religion, insofar as elevated noise levels will materially disrupt worship services. My second point is also very, very grave, and that is that the northern boundary that you saw is very, very close to an active freight yard that operates continuously and handles large tank cars transporting butane LPG, or liquefied petroleum gas. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation Emergency Response Guidebook, Guide number 115, most recent edition published in 2024, locating a hyperscale data center substation near an active butane switching yard creates the potential for a multi-system disaster. A single incident.
I'm sorry, you're over time.
Thank you. I stop here. I think you got my point. I want to thank you very, very deeply, the planning staff members, and you, the planning board, for your diligence in reviewing and adjudicating this very unique, historically first case of a hyperscale data center proposal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so with that, we are out of time for the opponents. If you were signed up and weren't able to speak, again, you may have an opportunity to be heard when the county commissioners take up this matter. So please make sure you're attentive to when that's scheduled and take advantage of that time. So I think